you've broken that habit of standing in front of the fridge, sort of shoving in your mouth whatever it is you can find, is minimize the damage by ensuring that you have foods around that even as you are, putting them into your mouth even mindlessly, that at least you can quickly get to the point where the foods you're choosing are foods that aren't maybe going to cause as much damage. In my case, when I was going through this process, what I did was once I realized that, okay, there was this mindless grazing going on and that wasn't helping me any, I also recognized that for me, it almost didn't matter what I was putting in my mouth. It was just the act of putting something in my mouth caused me some comfort for whatever reason. So what I did was I started keeping things around like, low-fat popcorn. If I really felt the need to feed, as I called it, then I would start snacking on low-fat popcorn. You can do a lot less damage to your weight and to your body by, eating an entire bag of popcorn than you're going to do eating an entire bag of, chocolate chip cookies, for instance. I also kept huge pots of low-cal vegetable soup I would keep in the fridge. And so again, when I wanted something sort of more salty instead of sweet or whatever, the soup was something, because it was already ready, I could heat it up really quickly and I could get that down my throat to suffice that, or to satiate that desire to just have something in my mouth. Then as I worked further on it, the desire to overeat started to lessen, and so I didn't need those coping mechanisms anymore. But really it is about setting yourself up for success instead of setting yourself up for failure. And again, the awareness of what you're doing is the first step to it. Then we get to the awareness of why you're doing it and work on changing that.
Well, I really like the fact that you brought up what you do, because it's not like you instantly go, oh, I've got this program, I'm going to work, and it's going to work perfectly. You still were able to set aside things like the low-fat popcorn and have things on hand. Even though you may have been eating more than you really wanted to eat in the end, you were still not expecting yourself to be perfect. And I think that that's one of the things that that all people who, quote, diet do, is we expect us to either be perfect or we've failed. And so I really like the fact that you brought that point up.
Well, there's a whole chapter in the book, actually, on perfectionism. It was something, as I was going through my journey, I never really took a look at my perfectionism tendencies at all. I didn't think they had anything to do with my weight. And then as I started venturing out and talking to people about, what I was doing and what I had discovered and that kind of thing, I found that more and more and more people were telling me that how they themselves suffered from, and it is a suffering. Perfectionists do suffer. We're suffering with perfectionistic tendencies themselves. And I'm not sure whether a lifelong habit of dieting creates that or whether it's created beforehand. I don't know. But you're absolutely right, Sherry, in that any of us who have ever dieted, we become really, really, really experts on, what's a good food, what's a bad food. Did I have a good day? Did I have a bad day? It becomes very sort of black and white thinking. And unfortunately, the world doesn't work in black and white. This isn't reality. And as you're going through your journey, you are going to fall off the wagon. It's to think that you're not going to and that you're going to be perfect, again, is setting yourself up for failure. So one of the things you'll find through the book and also through the coaching is that it's a nice, safe environment where you're never going to be scolded or made to feel bad because you maybe fell off the wagon or did something that wasn't really supporting you. That's more the language I like, is when you're doing something that is helping you achieve your goals or isn't helping you achieve your goals. And again, then you can get to the point where you can make a choice. Okay, if I eat this, is that helping me to achieve the goal that I want? And so you can start to make judgments.
I just want to remind people that we're talking. to Stacy Greaves, and the name of her book is Why Are You Waiting? WEIGHT.com. The same thing with her website, so check it out. And Eagles Flight said, very good point. I had that problem when working with addictions too. It was all a pass or fail when the relapse was just another opportunity to look at the thoughts and feelings that led to the relapse and increase awareness. What a great point. Because using this, he found it helped avoid the shame and guilt that led to a full-blown fall. And boy, I really like that point because we can look at it as a learning opportunity. That is just a great point. So we have to remember to do that.
Exactly, and that's why you can't feel bad about, if you do fall off to call it falling off the wagon. If you do fall off the wagon, that's exactly it. Use that, the energy behind that, to propel you forward into even deeper understandings of what's going on. You can't figure out why you're falling off the wagon, usually when you're on the wagon. It takes the actual action of falling for you to be able to step back, get outside of yourself, and step back and analyze what was just really going on there. So thanks for that comment.
Right. Yes, I agree. Also, you can send us a question or comment at RCRN on Twitter, and call in and ask your questions too. 303-552-2355, enter the number 2 and the code 226305. So, Stacy, what are some? I know you work with affirmations, or you did. I don't know if you still do. But
yep.
How do you go about getting that formulated for yourself so that they work for you?
Again, everybody's affirmations are going to be different. What I wanted out of life, or what I continue to want out of life, may not be what you want out of life. And, you know, we're all individuals, and what's right or wrong for one of us isn't necessarily right or wrong for the other one. So one of the things that we go over, another one of the things that we go over in the book, is really uncovering, for instance, let's start with why it is that you want to release the weight or shed the weight. It's very important that you be clear on your own personal reasons, not because your husband or your wife wants you to, not because your boss told you if you don't you'll lose your job. Those are all external reasons. It's important to be really, really clear on your own personal reasons. They might be health-related, they might be appearance-related, they might be energy-related. They just want to have more energy. You know, again, everybody's reasons are personal, but by you bring up affirmations. Affirmations are really the repetition that we talked about just a little while ago, the repetition in terms of changing your thought processes. So an affirmation is always done in the present tense. And even though that can sometimes feel like like you're lying to yourself, the reason for that is the subconscious doesn't deal in time. It doesn't know future from past and that kind of thing. So if, for instance, you were saying, and that's what affirmations are doing, are reprogramming the subconscious through constant repetition. So if, for instance, your affirmation was, I am going to be slim, I am going to be slim, well, that's a future dated thing. And so what you're really doing is setting your subconscious up for not today, but tomorrow I will be slim. Well, tomorrow never comes. You only have the today, the here and now, to deal with. By dealing in the here and now and today, you can affect your future. But again, you can only do it today. You only have now. You can't work in the tomorrow, and you can't work in the yesterday. So that's why affirmations always have to be done in the present tense, and they always have to be done in a positive tense too. The subconscious mind doesn't recognize the negatives, like don't, will not, that kind of thing. So saying, for instance, a common thought that a lot of heavy people have is, you know, I don't want to be fat, I don't want to be fat. Well, the subconscious doesn't recognize the don't. All it hears is, I want to be fat, I want to be fat. And so, again, you start to see why, if that's the programming that's going on, why the results end up being such as they are. So an affirmation, for instance, instead of thinking, I don't want to be fat, you could change it to, and I always like to start an affirmation with, I am happy and grateful now. It just sets a nice tone. So I'm happy and grateful now that I am living in a slim, healthy body. Very, very different energy behind that than I don't want to be fat. And by repeating it over and over again, I'm so happy and grateful now that I live in a slim, ideal-weighted body, eventually your brain starts to lay that programming down as foundation and will start to work then on helping you to do just that, to live your life in a slim, ideal-weighted body.
So how often do you do these affirmations? And do you...
I don't, in all honesty, I don't, well, I was just going to say, I have never actually quit doing them. It varies. I don't do them as much around my weight anymore now because I don't have to. I've done the reprogramming. I do them, but I still do them. Old habits die hard, and I still do every once in a while. I'll find one of my old thoughts popping up. But now because I've increased my awareness about it, when I have one of those old thoughts like, oh, I'll never be slim, or oh, you're fat, or any one of those kinds of thoughts, I recognize what's happening now, and I stop it, and I just immediately replace it with, I am so happy and grateful now that I live in a slim, ideal-weighted body. I do